Do you ever just wake up and think to yourself, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I got into an argument on Twitter. I don't know. I was arguing in favor of calling places that are shitholes, calling them shitholes. Now, don't take it the wrong way. I am definitely not a Trump supporter. You know, I'm progressive 100%. Bernie's my guy. You know, I'm not saying that that it was okay for him to refer to these areas as shitholes. Well, to a degree. You know, let me try and defend myself a little bit here. First of all, do I think that the reason Trump called those places shitholes is part of it because of his, growing dislike for anybody that's not white? Absolutely. I think 100%, well, not even 100%, but, you know, it's certainly based on the decisions that he's made as president. It's becoming a little clearer each and every time that he definitely doesn't view people of color favorably, unless they, of course, are sucking up to him, you know, because I know what the argument will be. Well, what about Omarosa? Omarosa, I mean, I don't really know anything except for what you hear the fucking pundits say. But to me, she seemed like 100% just, you know, do whatever it takes to get ahead sort of a person, you know. And depending on where you fall on the economic ladder, you either appreciate that or you despise it. So whatever. But here's what I think part of why Trump referred to these places as shitholes. I'm guessing it's like anything else. He only knows, what the fucking news covers. Right, the mainstream media. So, of course, anytime they talk about Haiti, of course, nobody's like, oh, have you heard about Port-au-Prince or whatever the fuck it is, where, it's really fucking nice, apparently. I've never been there, but, they don't talk about that area. What they talk about is the place that, when they had the fucking earthquake and there was like all this fucking damage and they're still recovering from it, and you've got people that are, fucking starving to death. It's definitely, if you could call it a place where you probably wouldn't want to fucking visit, if you wanted to call it a shithole, you could call it a shithole. Does it mean that all of Haiti's a shithole? No. And I think, as far as I don't know if he actually talked about other nations that have some sort of African descent. And I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying the man is not a fucking smart guy. You can tell he gets all of his information in little fucking blurbs, and that's why he constantly has to walk shit back or people call him on it, because he just opens his fucking mouth and he doesn't consider the consequences of it. And because, he views being president as basically being king, he probably feels like he doesn't really need to correct his words, which is why has he apologized about anything he's fucking said? I think that's just the type of guy that he is. He's a fucking, he's a piece of shit. But I'm guessing that the reason he called these places shitholes is because he only sees what's covered in the news, right? When's the last time you turned on, I haven't watched fucking CNN in years, but when's the last time you've turned on CNN and they're talking about, the beauties of wherever the fuck, and it wasn't like a puff piece, right? If it's not a puff piece, they're not talking about how fucking awesome a place is. They're focused on the areas where shit is fucked up. And I'm guessing that's how small his view of the fucking world is, because they only focus on, one particular area. He calls it a shithole because in reality, it kind of is a shithole, right? I mean, you're not going to go to the part of Haiti that's fucked up on a vacation. The only reason you're going to that part is because you're trying to bring aid or relief. They're not places where generally you'd want to fucking vacation. And as ridiculous as it seems that I'm making that fucking argument, trust me, I figured it out after I argued with somebody on Twitter for about half an hour, 45 minutes. I realized how fucking stupid that argument was. You know, I even made the point of talking about how there's places in the U.S. where, you know, incest is kind of a regular thing, and you know, you have people with more guns than teeth. You know, that's not a place you'd want to fucking visit, right? You would probably refer to those areas as shitholes. You know, which was my fucking argument all along, was just that, you know, yeah, it's fucked up what he said, but let's not pretend like shitholes don't fucking exist. And it was after about 45 minutes of this that I realized how fucking stupid Twitter is. You like how I blame the outlet instead of the source, right? Because I mean, you know, I could have just not had that argument, right? I could have not gotten involved in it at all. I could have kept my mouth shut. And you know, it's by reflection, right? I mean, that's how you change mistakes, right? You look at your own mistakes and you learn from them, and that's what I'm doing now. So, you know, I'm going to try my best to, you know how like how I planned that once my my iPhone 7 Plus here shits the bed, that I'm done with fucking cell phones altogether. I'm not going to move on. You know, I'm not going to go back to Android. I'm not going to get the fucking Google phone or whatever the fuck. I'm done with cell phones after this point. I think I'm going to do that with the social media. Because I realized, you know, I spent 45 minutes of my day arguing in favor of shitholes. And just the amount of fucking passion I put into that argument, and also the amount of passion on the other end. I realized after that it was just like, this is fucking stupid. You know, I mean, some of the people that I, you know, like the podcasts that I listen to, you know, some of the people that I fucking admire, they all stay away from, I mean, they have Twitter accounts or they have social media accounts, but they don't take part in the fucking chit chat, right? Which almost always breaks into just a more civilized version of apes throwing shit at one another. And, you know, I found, you know, I realized, you know what, that's the kind of person I want to be. I just, why am I spending any amount of time flinging shit? For what does it solve any fucking problem? I mean, I thought I was going to be the solution guy for 2018. So, you know, I can't be, you know, if I'm going to be part of the problem, I can't be part of the fucking solution, or however that little phrase goes. But yeah, it's like, I cannot believe I spent any amount of time arguing in favor of fucking shitholes. It just, I don't know. It's one of those, I don't know, like, it happens, I assume, for most people, where there's that one moment where you're like, ugh, or you're disgusted with yourself that you can't even believe you fucking did that, or said that, or fucking defended that, or whatever it is that you did. You know, I had one of those moments, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna step away from you know, social media, at least as far as commenting, which isn't gonna be easy, because, you know, I don't know, I like to fucking argue. If that's really any surprise to anybody out there. I don't enjoy just talking shit. You know, okay, who am I fucking kidding? I enjoy talking shit too, but when it comes to debating a topic, I enjoy it. I try my best to keep it civil. I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've argued all day with somebody, and we've both managed to remain civil to one another, and at the end of the day, we end up following one another. Like, I appreciate those kinds of fucking conversations. But the reality is that those types of conversations where you have two people that disagree emphatically. Look at me using the big words. Usually you don't, at the end of it, at least on social media, at the end of it, you usually don't end up with a whole lot of respect for one another. Mostly because probably about 2-3 seconds in, you're already calling each other morons or whatever the fuck it is, dipshits, if you're on the right, you're calling people libtards. If you're on the fucking left, you're, I don't know. It's just, you wake up one day or you look up from your fucking keyboard or from your phone after 45 minutes of arguing a fucking ridiculous. I mean, who gives a shit? Yes, shitholes exist. Who gives a fuck? The fact that I even felt the need to argue that. It was at that moment where I realized that, you know what? It's not about trying to change anybody's mind. It was just, I felt a reason to argue with somebody. I picked it and I went on a fucking spree for far too long. And because of it, I'm now, I'm fucking disgusted with myself. I mean, think about how much time, if you are one of these people that is a heavy social media user, and I don't mean like, people that post selfies or, I don't know, you retweet, I don't know, messages from fucking puppies or some shit. I don't know. Are puppies leaving messages? You know what I'm talking about. If you're one of these people that's just, you basically kind of just spam, I'm not talking to you. You waste, a lot more time with nonsense than anybody else, but I'm not really talking to you at this moment. I'm talking to the people that will get on whatever site, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or the fucking comment section on YouTube, and you will spend any amount of time arguing with somebody, that you don't know, that you'll never see. If you're spending any amount of time doing that, you have to, I mean, maybe you're not ready. It's kind of like the last podcast where I was talking about with, people that want to quit smoking, that you really have to be 100% sure you want to quit, or else you won't fucking do it. And for me, I've tried many times to get off of social media, to stop getting into these arguments, because I realized that, I'd go from being in a good mood to a shitty mood in a fucking heartbeat, and it's all because of Twitter. And that, it can't be healthy to just, every day you're just, pissed off at somebody to the point where you feel like, if this person was in front of me, I'd punch them in the fucking nose. I mean, that can't be good for you. And I think I'm ready to fucking put it away. I'll still, post my, my podcast on there. I'll probably still read what people are talking about, but if, at least as far as politics or social issues are concerned, I think I'm kind of done getting involved in all of that. I might post something on Twitter or whatever, but it most likely, it'll be my own fucking thought, and it won't be some fucking, 50 tweet argument with somebody, that, let's be realistic, people. You're never going to change anybody's mind. Over social media, unless they have an open mind, unless they're willing to actually accept that there might be information that either they weren't privy to or that they had like the wrong take on. You're not going to change anybody's mind unless they're open to changing their mind. And just from my experience, the people that have an open mind towards things are pretty much far and few in between on social media. Most people come on there with their mindset on whatever it is, and they will argue it till they're blue in the face. And you can show them links. You can point them in the right direction to find the correct information, but they won't do it because in their mind they're convinced that you're sending them someplace, or you're showing them some information that could be, I don't know, fucking biased towards your perspective, you know. So it's pointless. So you're arguing for the sake of arguing. I mean, 45 minutes. I could have done anything. I could have extended my workout. You know, I could have, I don't know, washed my fucking car, or I could have done any fucking thing. I could have, you know, continued to read one of the 15 books that I am currently reading. You know, I could have done anything except spend that amount of time. Much like with this podcast, where I've spent almost 20 minutes talking about, I don't want to fucking, you know, I don't want to be that angry anymore. You know, I want to be just the solution guy. That's all I want to do with this year. I want to offer fucking solutions, and I don't want to continue the being a part of the problem. Because, you know, I've always kind of had the stance, right? Doesn't this sound real fucking sanctimonious? You know, I've always kind of had the stance of either you want to solve your problem or you don't. And if you're just going to sit around and bitch about it, then, you know, you're not really interested. And that's kind of another reason why I'm going to move away from getting into these discussions on social media, is because I've kind of figured out it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you are, or which, you know, whether you're in the far left or the far right, or the, you know, if you're in the fucking center or whatever. It doesn't seem like people are really interested in actually solving problems. It seems like people are more interested in the discussion of the problems, of airing their grievances about the problems, of giving their opinions about the problems. But when it comes to actually solving them, a lot of people they don't seem very interested in it, which is why, you know, I've decided I'm going to be the solution guy. I'm going to give you the answers to the problems. Let's just, weed. All right. There's this talk about the legalization of weed. I mean, you know, it's already legal in like 29 states. Here in California, where I currently reside, it just became legal to, what do they call it? What the fuck is the term? You know, where you can just smoke it for the sake of fucking smoking it. You no longer have to have a fucking doctor's note. I don't know. I don't remember what the term is, but they just passed it. And of course, you know, there's talk, with this, Jeff Sessions guy who's trying to, you know, override the states that have legalized it. You know, they're trying to keep it a Schedule 1. They're trying to keep it illegal, and everybody seems like, you know, like, oh, how do we do, like, whether both sides, right? You've got one side that's like, you know, you should fucking be able to, you know, if I want to smoke a joint, I should be able to smoke a joint. And the other side, it's like, no, this is fucking horrific for you, and you know, whatever their fucking excuse is for not legalizing it. At this point, I'm convinced there's only about 8 people in this country that actually think that weed should stay legal. I take issue with really anything I want to do with my body, I should be able to do to my body, which means that drugs shouldn't be illegal. Weed shouldn't be illegal. You know, if I want to, I I don't know, if I want to fucking shoot up heroin while snorting a line of coke, while, I don't know, flambeing my fucking ass cheeks, I should be able to do that, you know, whether you like it or not. I think it's ridiculous that you have adults telling other adults what they can and cannot do to their bodies. And, you know, throw in abortion, you know. If a woman wants to get an abortion, it's her body. I mean, that's basically what we're arguing, right? With the weed thing, with the abortion thing, with drugs. You know, I don't know what else there is. I don't know if there's any other thing that people want to do with their bodies that they're, well, you know, you can't even, it's illegal to try and kill yourself. You know, at some point you gotta take a step back from, especially if you're on the, you know, oh, no abortions, no drugs, no nothing. You need to take a step back. I know that your heart, at least the people that are fighting against no abortions, you know, and not killing yourself, I know that you're coming from a place of love, right? You're trying to do, you know, the work of the Lord, and I understand that. I'm not religious. In fact, I'm an atheist, but I understand where you're coming from. But you need to just take a minute and step back and ask yourself, does somebody else's body belong to you? Because that is basically what you're arguing. You're saying, you know what? I should be able to tell you what you can do with your body because I believe a certain thing, right? I believe that, you know, life starts at fucking was inception or conception, whatever. You know, you're basically using your belief system to tell other people what they can do with their bodies. Now, I have to assume that you also think it's okay to have slaves. I mean, if you really want to take the stance of, you know, you shouldn't be able to have an abortion or smoke a joint or kill yourself, if you're going to take that route, you have to at the same time accept that you also think that slavery is okay, right? Because you could certainly make the argument that there are some people that just, you know, they sort of need guidance, right? And the only way they're actually going to have that guidance is if you take complete control over their life, which you basically turn them into a slave. You tell them when they can eat, when they can sleep, when they can have sex, who they can have sex with, when to go to work, how long to work. You know, I mean, you can't say that you're pro-life you can't say that you're against slavery if you're pro-life, because you are basically trying to enslave somebody else with your ideas about what they should be able to do with their bodies. Right? I get it. You know, the bearded baby told you that, you know, all life is precious and whatever the case may be, or that, oh, you shouldn't be able to, you know, you're going to end up in fucking purgatory or going to hell if you kill yourself or whatever, or, you know, fucking God's going to be angry that you lit a bowl. You know, I get it, but you have to take a second and step back and realize the stance you're taking. Yes, we get it. It's coming from a good place. Your intentions are good, but you are trying to enslave somebody. You're trying to tell people what they can and cannot do with their body. You know, and that goes with the drugs thing. If people want to do drugs, then let them do drugs. If they want to, you know, piss away their life. And I'm not talking about weed here. I'm talking about, you know, if people want to do heroin or cocaine or whatever, you know, they want to smoke crack, it should be up to them. There's consequences to those decisions, and people should be able to make their mistakes, and they should be able to face the consequences of their decisions. I mean, isn't that kind of the motto of this country, right? That you pull yourself up by your own bootstraps or whatever, and if you don't and you fail, well, then it's on you. Even though I think that's complete horse shit, because there are people that work extremely hard. You know, they work 2, 3, 4 fucking jobs and they never make it out of poverty. You know, this idea that you work hard, if you work hard, you'll have what you want. It's horse shit. It's designed to keep you running on that fucking human hamster wheel. But, you know, if somebody wants to smoke a joint or, you know, I don't know, fucking do a line of cocaine or smoke a rock or, I don't know. I don't know what other people are, you know, fucking take a pill, whatever it is that they want to fucking do, they should be able to do it because it's their body. You either agree that their body belongs to them or you think that their body belongs to you. And if you think that their body belongs to you because some hippie in a fucking toga told you so, then you also have to acknowledge that you agree with slavery. That you think it's perfectly fine. Because the rationale for when Africans were enslaved, that they needed, you know, they needed fucking guidance. They needed somebody to keep them from, you know, whatever it is that they believed that the African people were going to do. Right? I mean, it's horse shit. We all know that it's bullshit, that, you know, they were just saying whatever they possibly could to justify the horrific shit that they were doing. But if you're going to say that, you know what, you shouldn't be allowed to have an abortion or you shouldn't be allowed to smoke a joint, then you're basically saying, you know what, it's, you know, slavery's okay. As long as I consider it or I come up with a reason that I believe is, you know, validates my perspective, then, you know, okay, fine. That is what you're doing. So my solution to the legalization of marijuana and all drugs really is you should be okay to do with your body whatever you want to do. I know that you know, when it comes to like abortion and drugs, it's a, you know, it's a little different. Like I'm kind of I don't know, what do you want to call it? Libertarian, I guess, when it comes to the abortion thing. I think that, you know, a woman should be able to get an abortion if she needs to get an abortion. I don't agree if that's your method of birth control. Right? I don't think you should just, you know, every time, you know, you go out there and you take no precautions whatsoever and then you get knocked up a bunch of times and, you know, you're having 2, 3, 4 fucking abortions. I don't agree with that. But if it's just like it's some shit that fucking happened and you realize that, you know what, I'm not emotionally prepared, I'm not financially prepared, you know, to do any of this, then yeah, you should be able to get an abortion. You know, obviously after a certain amount of time. I mean, if the kid is, I don't know what the rules are, right? They are, like at this point it's up to like 3 months, right? And anything beyond that starts to step into that, you know, you're kind of, you know, it's moved beyond just being a bunch of goo to you now are sort of killing a human being. I think, you know, there should be a limit, right? That past a certain amount of, well, I don't know. I mean, it's your fucking body. See, I can't even make you do what you want to do. But what I do think is that, you know, if you're using it for birth control, then you shouldn't be allowed to do it. But if it's for any other fucking reason, you know, it's your body. You're the one that has to live with it. I've yet to meet, you know, and the weird thing is that women that get abortions are always made out to be like these heartless people that just don't give a shit. That they're just throwing lives away. I've yet to meet one woman that's had an abortion that it still isn't like on their mind. That, you know, I mean, it could have been 10, 15, 20 fucking years ago. It's still on their mind because, you know, whether they, I mean, maybe at the time they tell themselves, you know, I'm not ready. I mean, you know, everybody has a degree of fucking guilt, but having guilt does not mean that you should be, you know, forced to have to live with that, you know. And one of the, I know that that this has turned into a bunch of fucking jibber jabber at this point. But, you know, I've yet to meet the heartless woman that's had an abortion and just like, I don't give a fuck. I've yet to meet one woman like that. I'm sure that there are some out there that do exist, but I'm gonna bet that there's probably more women who've had it done that, part of them does feel guilty for doing it. Relieved that they made the decision, not that they feel like they made a bad decision, just the fact that, there are some consequences to doing that. And, I've yet to meet any woman that's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'll have like 20, I don't know. What the fuck am I talking about? So yeah, my fucking solution with this, during this podcast to the legalization of weed is you just stop trying to tell people what to do with their bodies. You want to get high, get high. Just be fucking responsible. The funny thing is that even though there's been no evidence of like a weed overdose or, I don't know. I mean, obviously I haven't looked at all the fucking studies, but I don't understand how somebody could say, you know what, weed is fucking illegal, but it's okay to go buy a fucking, a quart of fucking gin or some shit. I mean, how many drinking and driving, deaths have occurred due to people that, have consumed alcohol versus somebody that's gotten high and sat at a fucking stop sign for like 20 minutes because they, because they've convinced themselves that eventually the stop sign is going to turn into a green light. I'm willing to bet that even the accidents that have happened where the person had been smoking weed, I'm willing to bet that alcohol was also involved or some other narcotic was also involved. That when they took the person's blood test, they didn't just find marijuana. I'm willing to bet that probably about 90 to 99% of the weed-related accidents that have happened were in conjunction with other substances. I don't know. Was that a good solution? I mean, am I really saying anything that other people haven't at this point? I mean, it's your body. You should be able to do what you want with it, And if you're saying, if you're one of these people who's like, nah, you shouldn't be able to do that, then I mean, like, who owns your body? Is it you? Is it the government? Who owns your body? I thought your body was you, or was your body. I mean, if you're gonna make smoking a joint illegal, then you have to, especially if you're using it for like, oh, there's no health benefits, and well, then you have to throw everybody that still smokes cigarettes in jail. You have to throw all fat people down at the fucking Cheesecake Factory in jail because it's just as unhealthy to be shoveling junk down your throat. It's so ridiculous that here we are 2018 and you still have people trying to tell other people what they can or cannot do with their body. Are we living in a democracy? Which I know I'm being rhetorical here because obviously, this country's never been an actual democracy. But either we have freedom or we don't. Either my body belongs to me or it doesn't. That is basically what it comes down to. Skip past your spiritual beliefs or whatever the fuck it is that's convinced you to align yourself with the anti-drugs and anti-abortion and anti-suicide squad. Either it's my body or it's not. And if we can agree that my body belongs to me, then you really have no say-so in what I do with my body. As long as whatever I do to my body doesn't harm other bodies. right? If you're going to make something illegal, then you need to legalize the biggest killer in this fucking country, which is alcohol or steak. Those two things kill more people than any other, other such media. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up already. I don't know. Do I end it here? Do I keep on going? Does anybody want to know? I was having an imaginary argument with a robot, and I realized that like people are they're so concerned about the rise of the fucking Terminator type situation, right? That these robots they're gonna rise up and take over, and I don't know. I mean, during this make believe fucking argument that I was having in my head while I was stopped at a stoplight, was that the easiest fucking way to shut a robot up is to just be like, you know what? You can tell. I mean, yeah, you might have all the fucking stored knowledge of the world. You might know how to do fucking algebra. You might know what's the best route to wherever the fuck I'm going, but you will never know what it's like to, I don't know, have an orgasm. You won't know, like what sadness actually feels like or what joy actually feels like. You'll never know these things because, you might know about them, and the only reason you'll know about them is because, am I really having this fucking argument? This is what happens when you make a decision and not argue with people on fucking Twitter. You end up having stupid debates with imaginary fucking robots. I don't know. It just seems stupid to be afraid of fucking robots. Am I saying that we should be okay with them in our fucking society? No, I think it's a bad fucking idea. I think it's a really fucking bad idea. Because I mean, you're making something that it's made out of fucking parts. It doesn't feel pain. Chances are it's going to be a lot stronger. I mean, what you're doing is you're saying, you know what? I'm going to create a fucking chimpanzee, right? Because chimps have the strength of 8 fucking men. You're basically creating chimpanzees, and you're going to put them out in the world and hope to God that they don't lose their shit and pull somebody's face off. It's a bad fucking idea. But if you ever happen to find yourself having an argument with a robot, all you have to do is be like, well, you know what? You don't know what it's like to fucking bust a nut. I can't even describe it. And I've experienced them. I don't know, what the fuck am I talking about? Anyway, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. I hope you're having a good week thus far. It's only Tuesday. For those of you new to the podcast, this is the effing podcast. I'm considering changing the name of the podcast, but I'm not solid on that. But anyway, I usually do a couple of these a week, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it really just depends on my schedule. Last week I could only do one podcast, so when I say I usually do a couple, don't hold me to it, because life happens. Oh, does it? That was real fucking prophetic, whatever. Profound, that's the word I was looking for. But anyway, so yeah, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know what the fuck I want to say about that. But anyway, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. I'll try and get you guys another one later this week. But if not, then I'll be back next week. You're just gonna have to deal with that, right? Anyway, all right. Have a good day. Hope you're having a good week. And just like always, don't take any shit and go fuck yourself. Peace.